What's going on here, mate? Yes, Cozy, epic, epic, epic.
This is Cosmos, and he is about to embark on an intensive week's windsurfing in Tenerife. He's only ever windsurfed 30 minutes before, but he knows a few skills as he is a sailor. Anyway, this is his story.
Ready to send it.
Day one, I was in quite some choppy conditions, and it was really tough, really hard, especially finding the balance. And I think even morally, just getting knocked over time and time again, getting up, and then sometimes not even starting to uphole and already getting knocked off the board.
Gently, gently. Nice. Slowly work your way up. Good man, good man. Get on that sail.
Definitely my advice there is kind of swim out beyond where the waves are breaking, otherwise it's just really, really demoralizing. And if you're having a really bad day, just go in.
Hey, he's cruising. He's going straight to Morocco. One more broken already. Nice, getting more aggressive with the upholds. We're loving it. Loving it. Hey, bud. Yeah, buddy.
So on day two, probably the tip and the advice I'd give to really help with the stance is, as you're bringing the mast up, make sure to take small half step, like sort of shuffle your feet towards the back of the board as you're bringing the mast up, and also always keep a little bit of weight on the mast to sort of counterbalance the rocking motion that you'll have with the waves. For turning, for tacking, for jibing, I think really the main tip which helped me, it's gonna sound obvious, but I mean kind of just going for it. I realized that sort of the longer you spend in sort of the hesitant zone, the more likely you're gonna fall off, and especially if the board starts to slow down. I just figured that, you know, if I go too slowly, I'm gonna fall in, so I might as well go quickly, and if it fails, well, I'll fall in anyways. So, but if it doesn't, I'll get through this and I'll get to keep enjoying. So yeah, just trying to do it quickly, shuffling the feet as quickly as possible, all that kind of thing is really just helps you to go from boom to boom really quick.
Nice and easy on. Yep, bear the board off.
Managed to pull off a beach start.
Yeah, buddy.
So we'll give it a try again this afternoon.
Still on the medium-sized Viper. What's that one now? 190 liters?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, 80 wide instead of 91 and 240 liters. You should be in between. Yeah. Perfect.
By day three, I put the harness on and I was like, okay, let's try this thing out. For me, it came quite naturally, but what I would suggest is, you know, anyone who harness hooks on for the first time, start by, you know, just trying to relax your hands as much as possible, put as much weight and commit to the harness is the tip that I, you know, often got told to me is like, sit into your harness, sit back more. hands, taking one hand off entirely, seeing how, you know, you can control your sail like that, trying both hands off for a little bit, just to build the trust in the harness, I think is really, really important. As an art, and it took me a little bit of time in terms of finding the right body position, sort of really having that that 7 that they often talk about, keeping your legs, your front leg kind of straight to drive the board. That's really important. For the beach start and the water start, I think really the main thing, I mean, I wouldn't try water starting without having first figured out the beach start. I think really the main thing is about starting in shallow water and just figuring out what happens to the board when you push, when you walk downwind, when you walk upwind, figuring out how to angle your board just by holding the boom. Get familiar with the beach start, get deeper and deeper with the beach start until eventually you can barely reach the bottom, and then, you know, you've got barely any more support to push yourself off the sand. So that'll, I mean, it's a sort of natural progression to water starting. The right equipment as well, try to go for something a little bit lighter, because it is quite tough when you're swimming, and, you know, getting it in the right position is probably where I suffered the most, was sort of prepping the sail so that it's on the right angle and everything to do it, and then eventually finding the power with your backhand and you know, bringing up your front hand to sort of catch the wind, finding the right amount of power, bearing away, bringing the nose of the board downwind, and then once you feel the power is there, just step up and get away.
Yes, yes, hold it. That was a messy one. So we're hooked in, we're going along, and we want to bear off aggressively. Yeah, backhand further back. Where are we looking? Yeah, there we go. And now we want to pinch back upwind. So feet are coming forward as well, and we're looking upwind.
Another tip in terms of getting better at the maneuvers and all of the skills is, if you think, you know, if you're about to lose it, to fall in, try and save it. Don't give up. Don't just be like, oh, I'm done for, and just jump in. I had a couple of really close, like, good saves in a sense, like last minute saves, last second saves. But then you learn a lot from those moments. You realize, oh yeah, actually I can push it this far, or the balance isn't that far off what I thought it was, or all these kind of things. And also by saving it, as in not falling in or losing the rig, you then save yourself the pain of having to uphaul again, and the energy, etc. that comes with that. So yeah, always try and stay on the board. Each time you fall into the water, get back. Even climbing onto the board, it's draining your energy. Day 5, day 6, day
Yeah.
5,
Bit windy out.
So eventually, I mean, not even eventually, very quickly, you develop a lot of speed windsurfing, which is what's heaps of fun about it. And at that point, you just gotta kind of let it go. Just let it rip, send it. You know, when you think you're gonna get hurt, it's probably when you're doing it right. So I think what it feels like is really everything lightens up, everything just, I mean, even kind of gets a bit blurry. you could say. The board certainly feels like it's lifting off the water. I know in a few cases for me it did unintentionally.
Woo! What's going on here, mate? Ah, yes. Woo. Wow! Yes, Cozzy. Back yes.
But obviously with going faster you also crash harder. So I think at higher speed when you crash you don't really have time to react. There's a couple good cues is try to hold on to the boom as long as possible. Sort of try to pancake yourself onto the boom when you do crash, or onto the sail in particular. Don't try and like spear it, you'll go through it.
At one point I was riding on the sail.
Every time you crash every time you fall you learn, so it's just part of the process. But the key is really try to not damage too much equipment. In fact, what I would suggest in hindsight is really trying to protect your board. Unfortunately, I did put a couple of dings in the fiberglass of a few of the boards I used, just because every time sort of the boom goes forward or you get catapulted, it just always seemed to make a little make impact on the front sort of edge of the board, and that's just it's frustrating to have to fix that all the time. So protect your equipment, because when you're crashing it's kind of out of control.
Back at it.
What day is it?
Saturday.
And that means tomorrow?
We're gonna send it Sundays.
For me, as soon as I could get both my feet into the straps, the board felt a lot more stable. The few times when I was really fully sending it, it was because front foot, back foot were in the straps, and that's when I really could manipulate the board a lot better to drive it in the way that I wanted to drive it.
Time to send it! Send it, mate! Fucking send it! Yes, Cozzy, epic.
If things are all sort of aligned, then it just feels amazing. What's difficult is, when your balance isn't quite right, or you're not driving enough with the front leg, then your board will tend to, turn into the wind, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, that's why we windsurf. We do it for speed. Well, that's why I was doing it.
So much better than day one. He's in the straps. He's absolutely humming. Get it, Cozzy, get it. It is Sunday. It is Sunday. And he is sending it.
In the video, it might not look like I'm going that quickly, and I probably wasn't going that quickly, but it sure as hell felt like I was going quickly. So I think that's what's amazing when you start this sport, and when you progress and you learn, is each time you sort of break a new barrier, it feels amazing, it feels incredible. Obviously I think a lot of people have this memory of like the first time they're planing, but for sure me in Tenerife, when finally you can everything lights up going down this wave, and then the board just started like flying, and then you wipe out very soon after, but it's great fun.
Cozzy boy!
I am the up and away master.
Up and away! Up and away! 40 minutes left to send it.
I think if there's one tip I can give to people trying windsurfing and maybe doing a sort of 7-day intensive similar to how I did it, first of all, pick somewhere where there's good conditions, pick somewhere where there's good equipment, and you like, for example, where I was in Tenerife, excellent facilities. There was sort of the whole array of what you could dream of. What was nice is, as I felt I was pushing the equipment as much as possible, there was always an option to sort of upgrade. So all in all, I mean, it was a really windy week for me, I think there was one day where there was sub 10 knots, but basically every other day we probably saw more than 15 to 20 knots. So that was extremely fortunate for learning. I think in terms of total time I spent on the water over that week or 8 days, it would be sub 35 hours. I was doing about 4 hours, 2-hour session in the morning, 2 maybe 3 hours in the afternoon, and I did that for seven days. I just made sure that every day I was on the water for a number of hours, doing a certain amount of moves, or really trying to focus on one or two things per day. And then as soon as I felt my mental was starting to weaken, I just say, all right, I'm done for today, even if the wind was still good, or even if the sun was still shining. But I think the most important thing is really to keep your mental strong if you're going to do a long week like this. If the weather obviously is permitting and you know you're going to be sailing every day, then you need to keep your mental really strong. Mario, who's behind the camera, big shout out. Alexia, who's working in the center, as well as Nico and all the other guys from the team. So big shout out, massive thank you.
What about your coach?
And Adrian as well, of course, my brother, pro windsurfer here, repping...
Semi-pro. Injured, unfortunately, so could only do coaching this week. We were hoping to do a run together with the goal of doing a Deafy Wind at some point as brothers, but couldn't sail together this week. But it was awesome to watch him do his first runs. Look at this! Look at this! Like a pro.
There we go, 7 days, 0 to hero. And as brothers, they're already talking about doing the Deafy Wind together. That's just crazy. We actually sent the footage by the boys and we just put it together because we thought it might be just motivating for some of you guys just getting into the sport, wanting to see what's possible, to see what everyone else is doing out there. We thought it might just give you some motivation. I mean, obviously he's a sailor. He knows a lot about the wind and stuff. If you're getting into it from somewhere with no wind knowledge, it does take a bit of time and water state, and that sort of stuff, but still motivating nevertheless. Let us know in the comments if you're getting into windsurfing. Was it helpful? Are those videos useful? It's not something we do much of on the channel. It's usually kind of the extremer kind of end. Should we be doing more of this? Or maybe it's helped some of you guys who are more extreme, trying to get someone who is just getting into it. Maybe you can send them the video. Anyway, let us know in the comments below. We'll see you on the water somewhere.